The honey badger. Most animals shop the safe aisles of the food chain. The honey badger walks straight into the poison aisle and reads the labels for fun. You've probably seen the video. A honey badger eating a cobra mid-strike, falling over, twitching, then waking up 2 hours later to finish the snake. That's not a stunt. That's a Tuesday. The badger isn't actually immune to venom. So how is it still standing? It's a hyper-aggressive mustelid found across sub-Saharan Africa, India, and the Middle East, and it routinely takes down puff adders and cobras. It evolved a mutation in the muscle cell receptor that cobra-style venom normally locks onto. The toxin still hits, the badger still goes down, but the block is partial enough that it survives. The same mutation shows up in mongooses on a different continent evolved separately. A 2-hour venom-induced coma is technically just a long lunch break. A puff adder bite kills a lab mouse in 5 minutes. It puts a healthy adult human in the ER for days. The badger naps through it. Despite the meme, the honey badger absolutely cares. It just clocks out and clocks back in. Evolution gave it the metabolism of a furnace and the impulse control of a teenager. Most predators kill, eat, sleep. This one does it in that order. Even after the meal, tries to kill it back. The grasshopper mouse. When you picture a mouse, you picture prey. This one is a predator. It hunts crickets, beetles, tarantulas, and the most painful scorpion in North America. When the bark scorpion stings it, the venom doesn't just fail, it goes silent. Bark scorpion venom is engineered to maximize pain. So why does the grasshopper mouse barely flinch? Picture a hamster with a rap sheet, standing on its hind legs to howl at the moon. That's the actual posture, and the call sounds like a miniature wolf howl. The mouse weighs about an ounce, runs on roughly 90% animal protein, and patrols the deserts of the southwestern US and northern Mexico after dark. 2 amino acid swaps in one of its sodium channels make bark scorpion toxin bind to the wrong door. Instead of opening pain pathways, the venom blocks them. The mouse experiences scorpion sting as analgesia. Evolution didn't cancel the pain, it rerouted it. A paper in the journal Science mapped the exact swap, and pharmaceutical labs are now reverse engineering the trick to design non-addictive painkillers. A bark scorpion sting puts a 200-pound human on their knees for a full day. It will kill an adult cat. The grasshopper mouse weighs an ounce and swallows the scorpion head first. It does for venom what coffee does for Mondays, converts the worst part of the morning into the fuel for the rest of it. The common garter snake. There's a snake in someone's vegetable garden right now, eating a newt that carries enough poison to kill the entire neighborhood. It's happening in Oregon. The rough-skinned newt is one of the most toxic vertebrates on Earth. So why is the most boring-looking snake in the Pacific Northwest the one that hunts it? The newt packs tetrodotoxin, the same compound found in pufferfish. Garter snakes inside the newt's range have evolved tetrodotoxin-resistant sodium channels, and the two species have been escalating their chemistry against each other for at least 10 million years. Snakes from outside that range die from a single newt. Biologists call this an arms race. The snake calls it a Tuesday. Each generation of newt that gets a touch more toxic survives longer. Each generation of snake that resists a touch more poison eats more newts, and the biochemistry of one valley's snakes literally differs from the next valley over. One rough-skimmed newt carries enough tetrodotoxin to kill 17 adult humans. A single newt could end a 10-person dinner party with leftovers. The garter snake digests it like steak. If your dinner has a 17 human kill count, most people call animal control. The garter snake calls it a serving size. Most species skip the poison aisle. A few learned to live there and built better senses for the labels than the manufacturers ever wrote. If you're enjoying this kind of animal deep dive, I post new ones regularly, and subscribing really helps me keep doing it. Thanks. The Hooded Pitohui. In 1989, an ornithologist was untangling a small black and orange bird from a mist net in New Guinea. The bird scratched him. He licked his hand. His lips went numb. That moment is when modern biology learned that birds can be poisonous. Batrachotoxin is one of the most lethal compounds in the natural world. So what's it doing on the feathers of a songbird? The hooded pitohui lives in the lowland forests of Papua New Guinea, sits about the size of a thrush, and looks like a Halloween costume with a chemistry degree. Jet black hood and wings, brick orange body. It stores the same toxin dart frogs use in its skin and feathers. The dietary source turns out to be a small group of melirid beetles. Sequestering toxins from beetles is cheaper than synthesizing them. The cost is dietary specialization. No beetles, no toxic feathers. Evolution gave the pitohui a beak, a song, and a coat woven from nerve agent. Drop for drop, batrachotoxin is 250 times more potent than strychnine, which kills in milligrams. The pitohui carries it in its plumage and still sings through the morning. Most people assume birds can't be poisonous, that toxicity is a frog or fish thing. It isn't. Several New Guinea songbirds carry batrachotoxin in concentrations high enough to numb a human mouth on contact. The poison isle isn't just venomous prey, it's molecules your liver was never built to file. If a sparrow wearing a hazmat suit could sing, you'd have a pitohui. The European Hedgehog. A hedgehog is in a garden somewhere right now, frothing toad venom out of its mouth and methodically painting its own back with it. The behavior has a name, self-anointing. The Victorians watched it and decided the animal was having a fit. Why would a tiny insectivore deliberately foam toxin onto its quills? The European hedgehog chews on toxic prey until it produces foamy saliva, then contorts to spread that saliva across its spines. The behavior shows up in juveniles before they could possibly have learned it from another hedgehog, which means it's hardwired. The hedgehog isn't trying to neutralize the toxin, it's trying to weaponize it. Self-anointing turns a defensive animal into a chemically armed cushion. Predators that bite get a mouthful of bufotoxins on top of the spine wound. Most animals find a toad and back away. The hedgehog finds a toad and starts moisturizing. Bufotoxin in the bloodstream stops a domestic cat's heart in 20 minutes. The hedgehog ferments the toad in its mouth and uses the foam as cologne. Biologists watched hedgehogs do this for 40 years before agreeing it wasn't just a weird mood. The hedgehog isn't trying to share the toxin, it's marinating in it. The tiger keelback snake. Imagine a venomous snake that, if it can't find one specific kind of prey, simply isn't venomous anymore. That's the tiger keelback. Take the toads out of its diet and the most dangerous part of the animal disappears. Most venomous snakes manufacture their toxins, so why does this one outsource the chemistry? The keelback is native to Japan, Korea, and parts of eastern China. Runs about 3 feet, banded olive and black with a hint of orange near the head. It looks like a normal striped snake until it tilts its neck and reveals what amounts to 2 poison-filled saddlebags. Those neck glands store bufadinolides sequestered straight from Asian toads. Populations on toadless islands lack the toxin entirely. The molecules arrive in the snake as bufotoxins, and the snake either selectively absorbs the unmodified versions or cleaves the side chain after uptake, preserving the cardiotoxic core. Most people assume all venomous snakes brew their own toxins. The keelback proves that's wrong. Hatchlings raised on toad-free diets have empty nuchal glands and no defense at all. Across rural Japan, Korea, and eastern China, toad bufadinolides drop domestic dogs that bite one. They down hawks that misjudge the snack. Inside that same range, the keelback eats the toad whole and stockpiles the poison in 2 neck saddlebags for months. Most snakes evolved venom. The keelback evolved a wholesale account. Theft is older than invention. Evolution just patented both, and let whoever could digest the receipt walk away with the goods. The blue dragon sea slug. There's a 1-inch animal floating upside down on the open ocean right now, feeding on a 30-foot tentacled killer larger than your couch. The animal looks like a piece of jewelry. The killer is a Portuguese man-o-war. How does a grape-sized sea slug eat a colony of stinging cells engineered to hospitalize human swimmers? The blue dragon is a pelagic nudibranch found in temperate and tropical seas worldwide. It hunts men-o-war and other floating stingers. Here's the trick. The slug eats the man-o-war's tentacles, sorts the stinging cells by potency, dumps the weak ones, and stores the strongest in tiny sacs at the tips of its frills. Picking up a blue dragon at the beach gets you a sting that's worse than the man-o'-wars, because the slug has curated for maximum punch. It's a 1-inch animal that wears a man-o'-war's worst memories on its skin. A man-o'-war's tentacles can stretch 30 feet, longer than a school bus, and hospitalize adult humans regularly. The blue dragon is the size of a grape and eats it like a noodle, then keeps the worst stinging cells for itself. It's the smallest predator in the ocean, mugging the most aggressive room in the building for its lunch money. The poison aisle has tenants no other shopper survives long enough to study. The blue dragon studies them mid-meal. The pufferfish. There's a $200 fish on a plate in Tokyo right now that, if the chef cut wrong, would paralyze every diner at the table within an hour. The fish is named after its poison. The fish doesn't make its poison. If pufferfish don't manufacture tetrodotoxin, where does it come from? Tetrodotoxin blocks voltage-gated sodium channels at impossibly low doses, and it concentrates in the puffer's liver, ovaries, and skin. The toxin itself comes from marine bacteria, the kind that gets into dinoflagellates, that gets into small invertebrates that get eaten by pufferfish. The poison rides up the food chain and lodges in the fish at the top. Captive pufferfish, raised in clean tanks on tetrodotoxin-free diets, are completely non-toxic. Since the early 2000s, several Japanese aquaculture operations have farmed safe fugu with no detectable toxin. The fish keeps the body, loses the gun. We've known how to safely prepare fugu since the 1800s, and we still lose roughly 20 diners per decade. Nobody is sure if that's a problem or a tradition. Tetrodotoxin is 1,200 times more lethal than cyanide. One wild puffer's liver carries enough to drop 30 diners, which is why fugu chefs apprentice for 3 years before they're trusted with their first fish. Most people believe pufferfish make their own tetrodotoxin. They don't. The most expensive meal in Tokyo costs $200 and a small chance of paralysis. The Southern Cassowary. Deep in the rainforests of far north Queensland, there's a 6-foot bird with a kick that can disembowel a horse, and it's eating a fruit named the cassowary plum because nothing else in the forest dares. The cassowary plum kills almost everything that eats it, so why does the cassowary swallow them whole? The Southern Cassowary is the closest thing to a velociraptor with a passport. Jet black feathers, a cobalt blue neck, scarlet wattles, and a keratin casque on top of its skull. Its diet is rainforest fruit, including species loaded with cardenolide glycosides at heart-stopping doses for mammals. The bird swallows the plums whole, passes the seeds intact, and drops them up to 20 kilometers from the parent tree. Dozens of plant species in Queensland depend on the cassowary as their only viable seed disperser. The forest hires this animal as its gardener and pays it in poison fruit. Cardenolides target the sodium-potassium pump in cardiac cells. That target is highly conserved across mammals, but birds run a different setting. Evolution gave the cassowary a stomach designed to laugh at heart stoppers. The cassowary plum kills every mammal that bites in. Pigs die. Horses die. Domestic dogs collapse in an afternoon. Inside that same forest, the cassowary swallows the plums by the bushel and walks the seeds 20 kilometers down the path. The species is endangered in Australia, increasingly hard to spot in the wild. The forest's most lethal gardener wears blue eyeliner and a horn it doesn't need. The poison dart frog. There's a frog in a Colombian forest the size of a paperclip that carries enough poison to kill 10 adults. There's another frog in a Boston pet store, identical species, that you could lift bare-handed and feel only a wet, harmless little jewel. Same DNA, same anatomy, different lunch. If two genetically identical frogs can be lethal and harmless, where is the poison actually coming from? The golden poison frog is native to small ranges in western Colombia, Ecuador, and Panama, runs about 2 inches end to end, and looks like a candy that bites back. Its skin packs batrachotoxin, pumiliotoxin, and a cocktail of related alkaloids. Wild frogs source those alkaloids from tiny mites, ants, and beetles in the leaf litter. Captive-bred dart frogs raised on crickets and fruit flies are non-toxic and have been kept in the pet trade since the 80s without incident. The frog isn't poisonous because of its DNA. It's poisonous because of its lunch order. People remember the kill count, forget the diet dependency, and miss the mechanism entirely. On a fingernail of golden poison frog skin, there's enough batrachotoxin to drop a horse. The whole 2-inch frog packs enough to kill 10 adults. In a clean enclosure, that same frog feels like wet velvet. Researchers spent decades trying to figure out how the frog made its toxin. The frog wasn't making anything, it was just shopping. Evolution doesn't run a sale on the poison aisle. Every meal cost 1 million dead ancestors. The dart frog just inherited the receipt. I post new animal deep dives every week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching.